brain care, brain health. Does it matter? What does it really mean? And what if I told you 37% of all people, regardless of the severity of COVID, will have neurological injury?
Unbelievable.
Does that worry you? Does it scare you? Well, stick with us as we have an incredible gentleman with us who is going to dive deeper into the future of brain health. But first, a quick message from our sponsors.
This incredible show made possible by our wonderful sponsors: Assured Senior Living, love, it's what we do, and Serenity Engage, where care connects. Now, a brief message from Serenity Engage. Serenity connects aging service providers, older adults, and their loved ones in a single network. Our web, mobile, and smart assistance products power the network that enables real-time, HIPAA-compliant communication, collaboration, and education. When we care together, providers increase revenue and lower expenses, older adults receive better care, and family has greater peace of mind.
Welcome back, and welcome to the Mavericks of Senior Living podcast and online show. And we are absolutely beside ourselves delighted to have a gentleman here today to talk about this issue. Dr. Berman, welcome to our show.
Great to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. And you blew us away pre-show with that stat that you gave us. About 37% of people who've had COVID will have some form of neurological injury. Say more.
The more is that we need to be recognizing the significance of the pandemic's effect on brain health, as well as pulmonary and cardiovascular problems that have been shown to have been happening to people of all ages. And so where we are is looking at how do we mitigate some of that damage. And one of the activities that was important to us, and this is in my other role as president of Quiet Mind Foundation, which is a nonprofit research group in Philadelphia, and Quiet Mind has affiliated with Neuronic, which is the company that invented, that helped develop and market the transcranial photobiomodulation device called the Neuradiant. And at Quiet Mind, we were really seeing this kind of problem evolving, and what we did is work with our research partners at Durham University in the United Kingdom, and specifically with Professor Paul Chazot, who's the chair in the psychopharmacology department at Durham, and with his research assistant, Lydia Kitchens. And we published a paper that was addressing the idea of using 1070 nanometer infrared light in a transcranial delivery system like this. But we were talking about it in terms of how could delivery of that kind of light influence both the infectivity, the virulence, and the post-infection neurological injury from COVID. And so there was research going on at Durham and research that we were doing in Philadelphia. And out of that came a paper that was published about 8 or 9 months ago. So it's available. If anybody is interested in a copy, I'm sure we can have them download it from your website.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll include the link to that.
So can you kind of go in and tell us, you have the two hats, right? You have the two hats, and I kind of just want to make sure our audience understands that, you've got your Quiet Mind, and then you also have Neuronic. So can you just give us an overview of kind of, how they all come together for us?
The Neuronic device is a unique device that was created through our working together, our working collaboration with the people who have set up the Neuronic Devices Limited Company. Okay. And Quiet Mind is connected with that and helping to provide the research and consultation services for Neuronic. I am also a minor shareholder in Neuronic, so full disclosure. But the idea of the two designs that you see on the Neuronic site is kind of like the Tesla, in that the car is the car. If you want to increase the functioning of the car, what you do is buy changes to the software. Mm-hmm. So what we have here in the Neuradiant 1070 is exactly the same as the 1070 Plus, only that you would have to purchase additional access to software that then allows you to get the 4-quadrant capability of delivering the light front, back, left, and right differently. And also the idea of designing specialized protocols to deliver the light in particular ways. And that's what you do when you have any kind of diagnosis. If you're just somebody who wants to enhance their brain health, and you're a neurohacker or a biohacker, or you simply want to experience what it's like, then you can start with the Neuradiant 1070 basic model. And if it turns out that you want to go further, well, then you can upgrade to the Plus.
Now, would my program be the same as like Catherine's, or would our brains be looked at differently, or how does that look?
Yeah, that's an important question, because if you're you and you're wanting to just see what different experiences with photobiomodulation are like, the Neuradiant has 4 distinct preset protocols: peace, focus, energize, and glow.
Wow.
Those were designed taking all of the literature about how photobiomodulation is being used up to a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. And then designing a entry level, let's put it that way, an entry level experience of what it's like to use photobiomodulation in order to achieve those kind of preset goals. So if what you want to do is relax and feel peaceful, then you would use the peace program. And yes, you and Catherine could both use the peace protocol, and you would get somewhere in the neighborhood of the same experience.
Oh, that's kind of cool. So you do like a creative setting.
Yeah.
Same with focus, same with energize, and the same with glow. And glow is now my best way to think about what the glow program is on one level is basically pouring gas in the tank. So you're basically adding fuel for the brain and for the body to create more, to increase the cellular metabolism. And that's the cocktail party words for increasing energy. So
this is fascinating, and it has so many, it's very far reaching. And what we were talking about before the show is it also helps with mental illness issues, with other things that are happening in the brain, autism spectrum potentially, and there's an assessment involved. Can you describe that?
Sure. So I think it's important to put in the caveat that none of what Neuronic offers could be or should be considered medical treatment, and that Neuronic is not a medical device. We are committed to working toward developing technology that will be a medical device and FDA approved. But at this time, the Neuronic, the Neuradiant device is for wellness and brain health only. The assessment that we use is called a quantitative EEG. And that's, again, a non-invasive measurement of the electrical activity coming from your brain reaching the surface of your scalp. So there are sensors in a cap that pick up the electricity coming from your brain at very specific locations on your head. That data is then taken into the computer, and your individual data, your individual readings, are then compared to the normative database of people who are approximately your age, your gender, and whether you're left or right-handed. So we can compare what your activity looks like compared to the average of them. And we can see where you're above or below the average. We can then program the Neuradiant device to stimulate in the direction, to stimulate the brain to activate the EEG or the brain electrical activity and take it toward the more normal level of activity, either to train it up or train it down. And it's called entrainment. And the use of pulsing the light on the scalp will then help stimulate the EEG, the brain electrical activity, to move in up or down depending on how you're stimulating.
Wow.
So it's called entrainment. Right.
Okay.
And so because we know what normal looks like, we can then nudge somebody's brain activity up or down. And that takes us into the realm of the neurofeedback, the brain biofeedback training, which is a different type of treatment, a different type of intervention that can very, very easily be incorporated and integrated with the photobiomodulation. So you can do the brain neurofeedback training along with the photobiomodulation, and that's kind of the bigger picture of where Neuronic is heading in terms of the development of that new technology.
And in our audience, I imagine people are thinking, okay, first of all, since it's not medical, I want to hear the data behind it, which let's get to in a minute. But secondly,
Sure.
The price tag is that's because it's not medical, it's not covered by insurance yet, correct?
No.
Okay. So
not covered by insurance.
Yep. So that would be out-of-pocket cost for people. And
oh yeah, absolutely.
Could be used for multiple people, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And most of the way we designed the Neuradiant was that there are two clinical protocols designed into the professional or the plus level package. So the person who has the problem, whatever it might be, TBI, dementia, Parkinson's, and then the caregiver. And so what we're interested in is helping to sustain the health of the system, not just the one person who's got a diagnosis, because the caregiver burden is, I don't think I need to get into that, but the significance of the caregiver burden has to be addressed by whatever it is we're trying to accomplish, especially given the fact that everything we're talking about is designed to be done in somebody's home entirely.
And that's what makes it accessible for people at home, but also for senior living communities, people who are in residential care, to be able to learn how to do this, how to do the assessment, how to then deliver the benefits of this device. Can we talk about the data? Share how you got here and what efficacy are you working to prove?
We started looking at neurology's data on what happens to people in their EEG as they progress in terms of the severity of their memory loss. I mean, dementia just means memory loss. Right. The cause of the memory loss isn't really identified, and there are about 70 different sub-diagnostic categories of dementia. But be that as it may, when neurology was looking at the issue of what does the brain electrical activity look like over the course of somebody's development and progression of dementia, it became abundantly clear. Repeated studies showed that the amplitude, or literally the voltage, of the slower brain waves was going up, and the voltage in the brain of the electrical activity of the faster brain waves was going down. Study after study after study. I mean, if you say that to any neurologist in the world, nobody's going to blink.
So there was a pattern detected.
Absolutely hard. Yeah. Nobody blinks about that evidence. The slow wave amplitudes go up, the fast wave amplitudes go down. But what that means functionally is that the slow brain waves are associated with lower states of consciousness, better known as being asleep. Faster brainwave patterns of activity are associated with being awake and focused. So if the level of activity in the brain when somebody's awake is now more and more and more looking like the brain is going to sleep, and less and less looking like it's somebody who can pay attention and focus. Should anybody be surprised at what we're seeing with somebody who's progressing in dementia, looking more like they're not there?
Yeah.
So I looked at that and thought, well, wait a minute. The people who've been doing brainwave biofeedback training for as long as the people who have been studying the brain activity of people in dementia it's like, wait a minute. The people studying seizure disorders in this other domain called behavioral medicine or biofeedback have shown that if you train someone to modify the amplitude of specific brain frequencies, you can achieve that. People can actually learn to do that. And when they do that, their seizure frequency goes down to 0 in many cases. So the first line treatment for seizure disorders is not a drug, because you're supposed to do the less invasive thing before the more invasive thing. Those are the rules we were taught to play by.
Right.
So neurofeedback training is actually the first line treatment for seizure disorders. If you ask 100 neurologists, what's the first line treatment for seizure?
Oh, we lost audio for a moment, but Dr. Berman is getting that back. And what I'm really curious about is, so that's true for seizures. I'm really curious how that is, if you reverse that trend of the high and low waves for someone with dementia or traumatic brain injury, how does that resolve things?
I think too is that you're seeing a whole nother area of non-pharmacological intervention. I mean, let's go back to
right.
And
first do no harm is the
right. But I think you're
which
seeing.
I don't think this does is kind of my point.
Right, yeah. But I think too. Let's dive into where there's been nursing homes, especially they're under the guise of CMS, where you're trying to be mindful of the use of psychotropics. Right.
Yes.
So this could be a layer of intervention.
Yeah.
Before
a medical intervention,
some type of medical intervention,
pharmaceutical
intervention. And I like it too. What I'm really intrigued by is, some of the work we do around both dementia, but also the brain injury component, right? Yeah. Where brain injury isn't as much of that. There is a decline, right? But sometimes it's stable once after injury and recovery, right? So can this be used as a means to improve that baseline, right? So some of that we get stable, after, a surgery or things like that. We get Dr. Berman's back. We were just saying, Doctor, this is really powerful as a non-pharmacological, intervention that could have a profound impact.
Yes. I'm really sorry. Make sure that your power cord is connected to your computer before you start the interview.
I've done that before.
That's all right.
I've disappeared.
We've all been there, and we're really, really intrigued by what you're doing, and we may have to have you back on the show to talk.
So, can you kind of talk a little bit logistics? So, right now, where are a lot of the Neuronic devices being used? Oh,
we may have lost him again. Hold on.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's all right.
So
I want to learn. Yeah, definitely we're going to have we'll hopefully get Dr. Berman back on here. But I think for us, this is one of the things that we've talked about of not being complacent in how we viewed care, right? This is out of the box. There's a lot of science behind it. Photomodulation. Someone's like, whoa, that's a big word, but I think what's cool is that you're seeing it tied to analytical research. It's not like, oh, this will be good. This will feel good.
Right.
Not only will it feel good, but there's the data to back it up.
Right. It's the data to back it up, and the idea of working towards
another
approval, FDA approval, and the ability for this to become a medical device.
So I'm going to bring this up on this. kind of go over this a little bit more, because obviously we want to. to me, it's pretty powerful. And again, is it 3,000? Not saying it's inexpensive.
So we don't know, right? This is how things get developed.
Correct,
You have to get them out to the market.
Right.
You have to collect data. For those who are early adopters, I think this is cool. I think I would spend the money on it personally, and I probably will to try this. And, in my mind, as long as it does no harm, what can it hurt me?
Right.
And if it helps, I think that this is really onto something interesting.
All right, Doctor, we back.
I'm really sorry. I don't actually know it.
This is the power of authenticity.
Yep. This is what this is why we don't script our podcasts, because life.
Here we go. Can you guys knit this together?
We'll knit some of it together for like a more of a formal thing, but right now it's we like it kind of authentic and things like that. Because I do think too, what you guys are doing is very powerful. We want to make sure the messaging is coming across that this is a huge evolution away, because psychotropics and all those things that we're trying to mask symptoms for, I think this kind of goes to the root of ways to just have a better improvement of that baseline brain care. Did we lose you again, Doctor?
We may have lost audio.
May have lost that.
So I think what we do is we get Dr. Berman back on the show.
We'll do a quick wrap up
and talk. Yep.
And then we'll have we'll try to get him back on here, have a quick wrap up, and then we will schedule another time here in September. I think, and get Dr. Berman back on. We'll get the audio all hooked back up.
Let's talk about getting him to collaboration and aging for those of you
we can talk about that separately
who are too.
But we'll talk with him offline about that. But these are the type of things that we want to continue to push, because I do think this is evolution A, B, and C for where we're moving to in regards to what's going on. And I think what's helpful for us is this is cool. This is step one. Right? Step one of who knows how many steps.
Right. And it's outside of the box. And this is how innovation happens. You start somewhere. This is very early innovation. Mm-hmm. So really fascinating, just fascinating. Well, shall we talk about our Maverick moments, or go right into collaboration and aging today?
I think the Maverick moment is the collaboration and aging.
I think so
today.
too. So I'm so excited
because we are.
Not long, 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. We're 4 weeks out.
About a month away.
And I have been working on the education track, and I cannot begin to tell you how incredible the content is. And that's not because I've been putting it together. It's because of the people who are delivering this content. Right. We are talking about things at this event that you will not find at Argentum. You will not find at Leading Age. Those are great events for what they're designed for. We are different. And the reason we're different is because we all need to think differently. And the great Albert Einstein quote that we often follow is, you cannot solve today's problems with the same thinking we used to create them. Right. We have to think differently. So we're breaking all kinds of barriers with this
But I
event.
think too is, I mean, you could just, let's be honest, raise your hand if you're happy with how things have been moved on for Medicaid, budget, things like that, pricing, all that stuff. And that's just one way we have to start thinking differently. So, we're going to pivot right back. We're going to try to get Dr. Berman on one more time here.
Oh, okay.
Get a quick little wrap up, and then we'll bring it right back.
Yep.
Dr. Berman.
I don't know what's going on, but I'm really sorry. And I don't even know what this is going to last.
What we want to do is just do a quick wrap up with you and say, we're going to get you back on in September here. We want to get you back on in the next month to kind of go dive deep into this. We want to start talking about how maybe we can get some things out here to integrate some systems in Colorado to really start to use your devices, because again, I think it's a huge benefit. But what's the best way for people to learn more? Is it go to the Neuronic website? Is that the best spot to be, or how can we kind of learn more about what y'all doing?
Yeah, at this point, I think at this point, I think the best way is to go to neuronic.online, neuronic.online,
yes, sir.
And you certainly can connect with me directly through that. You can connect with me at marvin.berman@neuronic.online.
And we will put all those in the show notes as well, too, for you, doctor, so that people can know how to find this stuff. And it's Neuronic online right here. I think it's definitely worth the check. There's some great research articles on there if you're, even remotely concerned about the research articles. And so with that, we're going to do a quick little wrap up for us, and we will bring Dr. Berman back on here next month. So going back to Collab, if you're worried about any of these things, because, prices are going up again in January. I mean, I'm already hearing, moving fees and care costs. Nursing homes just had an announcement of how much their costs are going up. So if you're concerned about any of that, that's what we have to be diving into here, because at the end of the day,
affordability,
not only that, but at the end of the day, it's people taking care of people. Period.
Yeah. And I had a conversation with someone in the community that I live in just last night who came to me and said, what is wrong with this system? My mom is 85 years old, having mobility issues. She's been in and out of rehab. I'm going to have to put her into assisted living somewhere. And the system is badly broken, and I spend way too much time trying to manage this. I have a full-time job. I have other things that I'm trying to deal with. And that's, we're trying to solve all of that by bringing everyone together across the care continuum so we can work together to solve the problem.
But when you come with a mind of curiosity.
Yes.
But come with the mind to challenge what you think you know.
Yes.
Because I think that's where we're going to have the biggest breakthrough, is acknowledging it's okay to be wrong. And it's okay to kind of question, why are we doing that?
Yeah. Why do we keep doing the same things? Yeah.
So until next Friday, where we have another brain care guest.
Yes.
That's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, really fun.
It's going to be a fun one next, because we're going to talk about some tremors and some things like that, from how there's these non-invasive opportunities to help reduce that from an incredible company. So stay tuned for that. And then also check out collaborationaging.com. We have a few tickets left, I think a handful of sponsorships at most. But more importantly, we want you there because we need your voice.
Yes, your voice matters. So come attend. Contact us if you want a small little discount code from the Mavericks. Contact us privately. And we hope to see you there. Thank you so much for joining us today, and have a great day.